Our trip to Argentina had its roots in a relationship that began many years ago, with our supporting of the Millar family through Converge Rocky Mountain as church planters to northern Argentina. Although it had been 13 years since our last trip, we have kept in touch over the years. So when Gabby and Joel came to Estes Park as for a visit in late July, it was an easy transition from a mission trip to Russia to a trip to Santiago del Estero, Argentina. Our group was to help out at a children's center run by Martin Rodriguez, who 13 years ago was a teenager and a leader in his church group. He was also a part of the group who came to Estes Park in our reverse mission trip in 2001. Prior to leaving, we received wish lists from Martin and his family, as well as from Converge missionary Paul Hill and his family. Along with the items on the wish lists, about 30 packages from eBay and Amazon arrived at Doug's house. Packing was a fun time, making us feel a lot like Santa Claus. After an overnight flight, a taxi ride across the city of Buenos Aires from the international airport to the national airport, and another plane ride, we finally arrived at Tucumán, a city about 2 hours from our destination, Santiago del Estero. We were truly in a different world, different scenery, different building construction, different street traffic, and more. While there, we stayed in pairs in different homes, with Doug staying with Martin's family. Our first day was pretty eventful. We visited Iglesia Emanuel, the church we were involved in on previous trips. While there, Doug and Bob spent time sharing with and answering questions of a small group of young married couples. The rest of the team spent time with what is, thanks to some dedicated volunteers, a thriving youth ministry. After, in the evening, we helped out at a Mother's Day celebration party at the Rock Family Center. We discovered that Mother's Day is a celebration on a much larger scale in Latin America than in our present-day USA. As the night progressed, we were invited to a churrasco, an Argentine barbecue. Joel and his parents prepared a meal with meat, sausages, and ribs, with all the additional types of foods that make up a feast. There were about 25 in attendance, and we enjoyed our fellowship, which began late in the evening, continuing well past midnight. We were introduced to another facet of Argentine culture. Argentines love to stay up to the wee hours of the morning, visiting and talking after a dinner that begins at about 11 p.m. Unfortunately, Doug called an end to our fellowship at about 1:30 a.m. due to his having to preach the next morning. The next morning, we received a warm welcome back at Iglesia Emanuel. Worship was engaging and animated. They even sang a few songs in English to make us feel more at home. We introduced ourselves and Doug preached. Later in the service, there was an elaborate recognition and honoring of all mothers present. After the service, we were overwhelmed by greetings, kisses, and hugs. That evening, we went to a church plant by Paul Hill, Converge missionary. Paul, a missionary kid, grew up in Argentina and married Anna, a wonderful Argentine woman. They hosted Bob and Adam in their home, which was just about 5 blocks away from Martin and Carolina's home. Being Mother's Day, there was a special program by the children to honor their mothers. This was followed by a service where Adam and Mitchell gave their testimonies and Doug preached. Paul Hill is continuing Scott Millar's mentoring of Martin's work in ministry. Monday, we spent our time at the Rock Family Center for Children and Families. We evaluated the project and what we could accomplish physically while there. We also helped clean up from the Mother's Day celebration. On Mondays and Fridays, a nurse and nutritionist team go to the center. Mothers are able to bring their young ones in for evaluation, limited treatment, and to receive teaching regarding nursing and baby's health and development. We had opportunity to walk around the neighborhood and spend time praying for neighbors as Martin explained the many issues that children and families face. Drug and alcohol abuse and addiction is very prevalent. Many children experience emotional, physical, and sexual abuse at home. Spiritual oppression is very evident in the area. At the corner, there is an altar to a person who, although he was a drug lord and involved in all that goes along with that profession, has been elevated through popular folklore to a type of patron sainthood of neighborhoods. The homeowner who built the altar where people can lift candles and small offerings did so after his son hung himself on a tree in the front yard of his home. The next few days were spent working on painting the consult room, the entrance hallway, and part of the main meeting room. Due to the different building materials used, the process of painting included sanding down the walls to get off the loose paint and to smooth the stucco and cement surfaces. We also had one official mishap, even though there were moments when one could ask if the majority of the paint actually ended up on its intended target. We were very happy to have so many willing workers lending a hand with the painting. The evening after school program meets Monday through Friday. Children come for individual help with homework assignments and for reinforcement of basic skills that the schools may have already passed by, such as grammar, spelling, and some math skills. They learn Bible stories and biblically based songs. A key ingredient of the program is providing the children with a nutritious meal each time they come to the program. In spite of the importance of the meal, Carolina and her team have been making this happen without a proper kitchen space in which to work. Because of the need to constantly move tools and supplies, sometimes tools and even foodstuffs are lost in the shuffling about of objects. One of our purposes was to increase the utility of the kitchen, as well as to give a permanent location for storage of kitchen tools and supplies, inaccessible to rats and mice. One of the nights we were there, Adam and Wyatt were able to represent us and minister at one of the schools where Joel is a teacher and a coach. The school is located in a poor part of the province, out in the country. There was a presentation by the students demonstrating coordination and rhythmic abilities in a creative program. Then Adam and Wyatt were asked to share their testimonies, translated by teachers from the school itself. Because the event was a town-wide activity, the gospel went out to almost all the town inhabitants. That same night, Mitchell and Kevin went to a prayer meeting at Iglesia Emmanuel. Please pray for the church as it struggles with lack of leadership and the loss of the Christian school, which has been a primary avenue of outreach in their community. Bob and Nate went to the Children's Center again to interact with the children and to continue to show them Jesus' love. On one of our days, we were able to see a history and cultural museum, visit the top floor of a building where there was a panoramic view of the city, and see a market with many locally made crafts. On our last day of ministry, we were able to visit a church plant where Paul Hill has been working with a group of Quechua people. The setting is somewhat similar to an Arizona desert Apache reservation. Homes and settlements are well hidden by a rough vegetation. We gathered with a small group of mostly women and children, and after a time of worship, Adam shared his testimony. Then we shared some pizza. Paul showed us a potable water project and filtration system that he has been working on, and we helped move some gravel and other things for the project. The day ended with Martine feeding us well with another churrasco, and Adam and Doug working until late on a video presentation for Martine and Carolina, and Adam working until 6:30 a.m. After interacting and having our hearts touched by the Argentines, both believers and unbelievers, we are all looking forward to a return trip to minister in Santiago del Estero, Argentina. The entire team is grateful for the opportunity to serve in the name of Jesus while representing Mountain View in Argentina.